We'll let the members of the other team know that they can start offering points of information. Then, after 5 minutes, the timekeeper will again signal once, like this. On that signal, the speaker knows they have 1 minute left, and the members of the other team know they now need to stop offering points of information. When a point of information is offered, it's up to the speaker holding the floor as to whether or not they accept or reject it. Now, there is an expectation that they will take at least one. At the 6 minute mark, you will hear this sound, a double signal, which will let the speaker know they need to wrap up within the next few seconds. Then there will be a 2 minute break in the debate, following which there will be reply speeches, 3 minutes long, with the opposition giving the reply speech first and the proposition second. Once again, members of the audience are reminded to switch off your handphones or anything else which might go off and disturb the debaters during the debate. And please remember, if you need to exit or re-enter the room at any point during the debate, please do so at the breaks between speeches rather than during the speech. So, the proposition team for the grand final of the Singapore Secondary School Debating Championships 2015 Division 1 is the team from Raffles Girls' School. Their first speaker is Leong Li Jing. Second speaker, Yu Jiaqi. And third speaker, Emily Tao. And the Raffles Girls' School team also have 2 other members who will not be speaking in tonight's debate, but who certainly deserve recognition for the role they played in getting the team to the grand final. Please give a hand for Cassandra Jane Ang and Suzuki Tomo. In opposition for the grand final, we have the team from the United World College of Southeast Asia. Their first speaker is Rajat Acharya. Second speaker, Anish Weldon. And third speaker, Zachary Intrata. And the United World College of Southeast Asia also have 2 other members on their team. Please give a hand for Saloni Bolchandani and Arjun Krishna. There will be a panel of 7 adjudicators for the grand final. They are Mr. Owen Yo, Mrs. Peter Prefield, Ms. Chili Yuhei, Mr. Raveen Pop, Mr. Osel Pop, Mr. Thurston Heng, and Ms. Sarah Tay. And the motion for the Division 1 Grand Final is: this House believes that governments should impose a tax on popular forms of entertainment and use the revenue to fund high art, with the term high art in inverted commas. One more time. This House believes that governments should impose a tax on popular forms of entertainment and use the revenue to fund high art. So, the proposition team is from Raffles Girls' School. Please welcome their first speaker to open the case, Leong Li Jing.
Test. Governments have a duty to ensure that artistic expression is a free market of ideas and that society is able to access and appreciate this art. Instead, what we observe today is a dominance of popular entertainment companies that have a stranglehold on the artistic market, stifling other forms of artistic expression. It is in that spirit that we believe that governments should tax popular forms of entertainment and use the revenue to fund high art. Let's look at a few definitions for today. We define high art as artistic forms such as Shakespearean plays and historical artwork that are typically characterized by inaccessibility and high prices. In contrast, we define popular forms of entertainment as entertainment that is mass-produced and mass-consumed, such as movies, pop music, hip-hop dance, etc. Our policy for today is that the government will impose taxes on the incomes of popular entertainment companies and use the revenue to fund high art in many ways, such as subsidizing museum and performance tickets, introducing increased publicity for high art, and building art centers specializing in display and promotion of high art, such as at Esplanade in Singapore. Today's third proposition will be presenting two substantives. I will be talking about how our policy increases access to high art, and my second speaker will be talking about why our policy is better for artistic expression in the long run. Now, I'll be moving on to my substantive for today on how our policy increases access to high art. Now, I have three C's on this. First here, the problem that high art currently faces in the status quo. Here's the proposition I want to clarify that we don't think that high art is more important than popular entertainment. We think all art is equally valuable. The problem in the status quo is that popular entertainment companies have a stranglehold on the artistic
Point of
market,
information, madam.
as seen from the sheer quantity of people accessing it today. Yes, sir.
If you don't think that high art is more valuable than popular entertainment, then why do you discriminate against one form of expression for another?
Because, you see, it's not a form of discrimination, it's a form of equity. We see that high art is being discriminated in our current status quo, as I'll be proving to you later on in my first year. And we think our policy is necessary for high art to regain its footing and for it to become accessible to people so that people can enjoy the benefits of high art. Back to my case. The problem in the status quo is that popular entertainment companies have a stranglehold on the artistic market. Such companies secure and monopolize distribution channels such as television, cinemas, the internet, etc. to attract a wider consumer base. They also spend a disproportionately large amount of money on advertising, with large companies like Time Warner and the Walt Disney Company spending upwards of $2 billion on advertising every year. In fact, they actively create consumer demand by conducting surveys and analyzing data to figure out the audience's preferences, and then creating products specifically tailored to meet them. These companies even go so far as to lobby governments for preferential policies. In 2014, the entertainment industry spent $114 million lobbying the US government. All this marketing means that these companies cater to huge audiences and are therefore able to price their goods at extremely low prices. This means that popular entertainment companies dominate the artistic industry. High artists simply do not have the resources to compete against popular entertainment companies for a wide consumer base. Therefore, out of necessity, high art is forced to create a niche for itself by defining its worth by its exclusivity, narrowing its consumer base. This forces artists to make their art more expensive in order to make ends meet, creating the misconception that high art is only meant for the rich, because currently only the rich can access it. What then is the problem? The problem that arises because people consume forms of entertainment based on what they see, or based on what they believe can give them the most value for minimum cost, both in terms of money and time. Therefore, most people choose popular forms of entertainment, giving it a monopoly over the industry. As a result, high art is only accessible by a small minority of people, depriving most of society of the expression and fulfillment that high art could bring. Additionally, the monopoly of popular entertainment deprives people of legitimate choice because they are left with no option but to consume it. Now I'll be moving on to my second here on how our policy solves this problem by breaking down the barriers between popular entertainment and high art. This is done in two ways. Firstly, through a subsidization of high art exhibitions and performances, more people are able to afford the consumption of high art, removing the stigma of it being something inaccessible and only for a certain social class. Secondly, our policy allows for a high amount of collaboration between high artists and governments to give people greater exposure to high art, such as through introducing to students through schools. In fact, this is already what is happening in countries like Singapore, which provides grants to schools for the subsidization of art events. This ensures that high art becomes more accessible and that people can make legitimate choices about the consumption of art without being stifled by popular entertainment industries. Now, I'll be moving on to my third here on why our policy is justified. We think a policy is justified on two levels. Firstly, the government has a duty to help society progress culturally. When there's a greater diversity in the art scene, it not only allows people more avenues for self-development and self-discovery, but also creates a societal landscape that promotes diversity and cultural understanding. Therefore, the government has a duty to interfere to ensure a free market for art. This is why many countries all over the world have ministries that deal exclusively with art and culture, such as the National Arts Council in Singapore. Secondly, Popular entertainment companies hold an abusive monopoly over the artistic market. They exploit the numerous resources so extensively that high artists are able to have any kind of presence, as well as using underhanded means to beat out competition. For example, the predatory pricing of products like the 99-cent single and the locking up of resources through the monopolization of distribution channels. When companies deliberately create an imbalance in the market and prevent others from competing, it disrupts the free market system and the government has to step in. Therefore, because we protect artists, society, and the art industry as a whole, we take this debate.
6 minutes and 16 seconds.
We will just wait a moment for the judges to finish making their notes on that speech, then we'll move on to the next one. So, the motion is this House believes that government should impose a tax on popular forms of entertainment and use the revenue to fund high art. We have had the case for Raffles Girls' School, opened by their first speaker, Yong Li Jing. Now we move over to the opposition team from the United World College of Southeast Asia. To open their case, please welcome Rajat Acharya.
Hello? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we think that both Ellen DeGeneres and Mozart have their purpose in society, and we don't think it is right to promote one at the expense of the other. So with that premise in mind, the baseline of the opposition today is that we will not support the proposition's tax, because we think it is detrimental to art, culture, and society as a whole. I have two clauses for my policy today. Firstly, we choose to set aside monies in the government budget to provide grants and subsidies to all forms of art on a needs basis. It doesn't matter if they are high art or not. So long as they prove that they need help and the state can fund it, then we will provide them with the money that is required. Secondly, we choose to actively encourage private foundations and businesses to support art through tax credits provided by the government. But before I can move on to any further points within my case, I have 3 points of contention today. Firstly, I would like to start with a policy critique. Secondly, I'd like to go into this idea of dying high art. Thirdly, I'd like to talk about this entire idea of high art as being the only way for culture to evolve. So let's start with their policy critique. Now, they said they're going to impose taxes on popular forms of entertainment, on the incomes of these companies that produce popular forms of entertainment. However, we see that these companies will eventually be ending up in only taking out these costs that are imposed by this tax on the consumer by raising prices to ensure that their profit margins are in line. And even further than that, let's talk about the characterization of popular entertainment companies that they have brought across in their policy. While there are some big popular entertainment companies that constantly churn out productions year on year, we see that there is no monopoly being created. And we see that this monopoly will only be further extended in their side if it indeed does exist. You punish new artists like YouTube creators by involving them in the policy as stated by the proposition. We see higher barriers to entry being created in the first place, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Bay will still be able to fund his Transformers movie, whereas YouTube creators won't be able to do so because of the taxes that are unfairly imposed upon them. They also talked about the art that these popular entertainment companies created and how it panders to the inherent biases that are there within the mainstream consumer. But we see that more often than not, these art forms are created within the popular entertainment industry to challenge social thought and push social boundaries. We give you the examples of shows like Jersey Shore that, although they did talk about alcoholism and the impressions of cosmetic surgery and whatnot, they still managed to promote positive discourse about these issues, these apparent issues within society in the end. Now, let me move on to my second point of contention, this idea that high art is dying. They say that high art is dying and as a result, it deserves more funding. We agree that high art needs to be funded, but funding shouldn't come at the expense of popular entertainment. We tell you firstly that this is not true, and in many cases, high art isn't dying. We give you we give you the example of high art being more accessible than ever through the example of Cantonese opera being accessible on YouTube. Taxes are made on things that have a clear social harm, ladies and gentlemen. And in the case of popular entertainment, it will always remain unclear. We give you the example of Meghan Trainor's song, All About That Bass, which encourages discourse on positive body image. Furthermore, we say that it's not only it is not the state's role to invade people's living rooms and determine what they should and shouldn't watch, and personal decision-making should be respected by the state. This is something that is apparent across all governments. This is something that the proposition clearly ignores. Now let us move on to this idea that they think that high art is the only way for culture to evolve. We tell you firstly, this is not true and an incredibly snobbish approach to popular entertainment, as it dismisses the capability for good. We give you the example of Unfreedom, which raised a discussion on homosexuality stigmas in India, despite it being a mainstream film. And even if it does manage to create dull societies that do not promote social evolution, we tell you that high art and popular entertainment aren't perfect substitutes. A Game of Thrones fan won't view Othello as a perfect substitute for the entertainment. This brings me to my case study. I, as the first speaker, will be talking about the real value of art and entertainment, and my second speaker will be talking about what's best for society and the state. Moving to my substantive, the real value of art and entertainment. By taxing popular entertainment and high art, the proposition inadvertently creates two harms. Firstly, it assumes high art is more valuable than popular entertainment, thus justifying taxing against it. However, such a value comparison is flawed because it is not always true, ladies and gentlemen. We give you the example of Romeo and Juliet, which is in fact high art, premised on underage teens eloping and committing suicide in a final blaze of glory. We do not think that this is necessarily better than the movie that promotes better social messages than the movie Blood Diamond, which highlights to the masses the travesties of civil war and poverty in Africa. More often than not, we see that popular entertainment can be a force for good. We give you the example of Band Aid, which gathers artists to record the popular song, Do They Know It's Christmas? The song raises millions in donations and reminds people every year that poverty should not be forgotten. Popular entertainment is able to achieve perhaps even more social good than high art in this instance, because of its wide reach and because of its appeal, because it remains popular. This brings me to my second problem with taxing popular entertainment to fund high art. It assumes that art should be labeled into the binary of low art and high art. We don't think that high art deserves to be placed in a higher pedestal than low art, simply because all art is important. Folk art, traditional art, popular art, these are all valuable conduits of culture that challenge social norms that are not examples of high art. In sum, I've shown you how the proposition is unfairly biased against popular entertainment and has little understanding of the real value of art. As such, walk with the side that doesn't promote discrimination. Walk with the opposition. Thank you.
6 minutes and 31 seconds.
We thank Raja Acharya for opening the case for the United World College of Southeast Asia in opposition. The teams are debating the motion. This House believes the government should impose a tax on popular forms of entertainment and use the revenue to fund high art. We now move back over to the proposition side. Raffles Girls School, please welcome their second speaker, UWCSEA.
The entire case of side opposition is essentially that they tell us that they're going to set aside government grants and that they will subsidize high art because and based on a needs basis, right? And they will be ones subsidizing high art. They even came to us and told us that they agree that high art should be funded and that high art is something and that's an art form that needs to be funded in society today. And it's essentially, they have conceded to all the principal arguments on our side on why is it that high art is extremely important, why is it that high art benefits and gives people the entire human condition, human experiences, why is it that high art needs to be subsidized in society today. So essentially, our side only needs to prove to you why is it that we should tax popular media companies in order to subsidize high art. That is the only thing that we need to prove on our side today, and they will have lost their entire case. And they tell us that they don't want to have the distinction between high art and low art. We tell you that that's exactly what we don't want to do as well. We believe in the equality of art in society today. Hold on a moment, sir. We are the ones that are truly tearing down the barrier between high art and not popular art in society today. We're bringing down high art from the pedestal of so-called what is the rich man hobby. We are the ones that are truly equalizing art forms, allowing a wider access of our high art to society today. But before I move on, let's hear what he has to say.
You're the ones who believe that all type of art is better for society, all type of art has these positives that you want, and as such don't want a discriminatory tax that allows funding for only a minute part.
Excuse me, exactly because we believe that all art is equal, all art is beneficial, we think that a wide range of art is exactly what society needs, exactly what government needs to provide for society. But in their case today, right, in current society, there's no equality present. We think that high art is being disadvantaged greatly. We think that, as we have already proven to you in our entire first substantive, right, we think that the entire conglomerates of the media companies have taken an extreme advantage, have abused their advantage in the media arena, right, and have used their advantage so that they push and overwhelm high art to a corner, to a niche market, such that they are disadvantaged in itself. They have never came back to us on our entire argument on monopoly law, on how they have violated the entire monopoly and entire competition law, right? And we think that they need to come up to us because that is the bulk of our case. So moving on very quickly onto rebuttals today. Which side better benefits society as a whole? They tell us, they firstly did not deal with why companies have to pay because of the violation of a monopoly law, right, that we have already elaborated very largely on in our first speaker. And then they told us that there actually isn't a real monopoly in society today. We think that that's ridiculous. We're talking about companies like Ticketmaster in the US and System, who hold an entire monopoly over ticket services and abuse its dominant advantage to services and sign exclusive agreements with artists and venue operators, right? We're talking about companies like the musical industry giant Clear Channel. It uses its size and clout in the radio industry to coerce artists to use it as promoters and or risk losing all their airplay in society and on radio. I think this monopoly is very real and very happening in society today. And then they tell us that, value of the popular entertainment in society. And then they say that we assume that they are the ones that actually assume that popular entertainment hold a higher value than higher art society today, right? We think that this is not true. It's exactly because we recognize equality of art. That's why we even have a policy today, right? We think that it is exactly because there's no equality that exists between these two arts, because people don't even have an equal access to high art in itself, because of why they're pushed to a niche market by the entire overwhelm and dominance of the media companies in society. That is why we even have our policy in today. Then they told us, came up at this point about how we harm individual artists. I think this is not true. We are not taxing media companies. I think that's essentially different from taxing artists itself, right? Popular artists. I think that these companies are the ones that can take on the taxes and are able to afford so because of their entire dominance in the media company. We compare, let's see what exactly the popular entertainment companies even earn today, right? I think a Universal Music Group, the biggest pop music industry in today, earns $10 billion per year. I think that Time Warner Cable in 2013 earned $22 billion USD per year as well. I think that these are companies that hold such a big revenue that they're completely able to sustain and be able to afford for this type of revenue. We don't think that we'll be harming artists in any way. And then they came out to tell us this last point on how companies will pass on the taxes to consumers. They will. Firstly, untrue. They are not going to pass down the cost. This will simply reduce their marketability and reduce their appeal to their consumers in the first place. If they are actually going to pass down the cost, their consumer base will be the ones that will narrow it down. They will be the ones that will be at stake. Right? And we think that even if they really want to keep doing this monopolistic activities and change their ways, we will simply continue taxing and their consumers will simply walk away. We don't think they will be the ones passing down the cost to the consumers. Now, very quickly moving on
on to my positive material on how taxation deters popular entertainment companies from monopolizing the art scene. I think that there is an essential need for taxation because popular entertainment are profit-driven. Without economic pressure, their belligerence cannot be curbed. And so why is this even government's business in the first place? I think that due to popular entertainment companies having a stranglehold over markets, as my first speakers have already said, they shape people's choices and perceptions such that people rarely even come across and access higher art in the first place. Monopolizing entertainment industries is very bad because it closes off other avenues that find meaningful and fulfillment for the society today. And so, how does our taxation work then? We say that by specifically taxing popular entertainment corporations, the high levels of taxation will deter companies economically from engaging in further monopolistic promotions. This acts as a deterrent to more artists and companies who do not dominate in an unfair manner. Furthermore, taxation incentivizes them to remove the stigma created in services that popular entertainment companies actually should need to maintain their clean reputation, and it will not risk tarnishing their reputation. And because we have proven to you why we need subsidization, why higher art needs to be funded, and why popular companies should be the one responsible for this, where I'm so proud to propose.
6 minutes and 24 seconds.
We thank UWCSEA for being the second speaker from the proposition team from Raffles Girls School. We now move back over to the opposition team from the United World College of Southeast Asia. Please welcome their second speaker, Anish Weldy.
Test. Ladies and gentlemen, we on Team UWC think it's quite funny that the proposition wants to come here and talk to us about equality in art. They want to talk to us about the free reign of the free market in decisions. Yet, they want the government to come into my house, switch off my subscription of Netflix, and make me go watch Othello instead. We think it's quite a big principal contradiction on their side. We don't think that their case has been continuously. We don't think that they've sufficiently proven to us the difference in their case, and we don't think that their side is actually engaging with us enough. So let me begin with a policy critique first. They told you that they're going to tax companies that are producing popular entertainment. My first speaker had two responses. Firstly, that prices would rise because firms would want to maintain their profit margins. And secondly, that this creates barriers to entry for YouTubers and people who want to create apps on the App Store, for example, because they'll find it harder to push their products out. So what was the response then from their side? They said that no, the companies won't pass on the cost. Well, that's not true. When cost-push inflation happens, we've seen this happen in many places like America, where when costs rise for companies, they automatically would like to maintain their profit margins because they're profit motivated, so they will raise their prices. But let's talk to them even on their idea. Even if cost-push inflation won't happen, we think the supply will fall. These companies won't be able to produce good popular entertainment anymore. We won't see popular entertainment being able to reach as many people, and all of the social goods that my first speaker talked about will be ignored under their paradigm. So let me move on to my first point of contention. The idea that high art is dying. They said that high art is dying because popular entertainment holds a monopoly in the market. Firstly, we think you have to recognize that popular entertainment is not always art, and that there's often a distinction. So they've only been arguing in the small cases in this debate where popular entertainment and art may converge. But what did my first speaker tell you in response to their contention? Firstly, high art is not always dying. We've seen high art be prevalent in society through things like opera in the park, which can sometimes be popular. And even if it is dying, it's demand and supply. If they want to talk to us about the free market, we think it's okay for a high art to have less accessibility now than maybe it did before. We think that the government's role should be as a safety net. That's what our policy ensures, that all art, not just high art, can thrive and be safe in society. So we tell you further, I'll extend this rebuttal further and tell you that they're not substitutes. Just because you lower the accessibility, supply, or demand of popular entertainment doesn't mean people will all of a sudden want to watch high art. Why? Because they have distinctly different roles in society. Proposition has ignored this down the line in both their speeches. That's why we think on their side, no matter how much you tax popular entertainment, you're not really going to be helping high art. You're just going to be making it look more elitist. So then moving on to the idea of cultural progression. They told you that big companies would prevent social evolution, and later they talked about this idea of using their size to coerce artists. Two responses. Firstly, entertainment isn't art, they perform different functions. And secondly, if we're talking about cultural progressions, we think it's good if high artists or artists want to change the mediums they use in order to portray their art. What they talked about, like radio, we think it's perfectly fine for artists to want to do that, to adapt to the social landscapes. And then last idea of high art and low art. Now we told you that both high art and low art can be conduits of culture. They can both have value. So when we're talking about equality, we don't think it's right for them to place Shakespeare on a pedestal above Goethe, because we think both can be important for society. We think it's important for the state not to discriminate, because the only practical harms happen on their side. When the state is discriminating, it simply makes high art seem more elitist. This is analysis that my first speaker told you that they haven't really dealt with. You're treating high art like a special kid in the classroom. We think obviously the kids that are being ignored, low art or popular entertainment, will feel resentment towards them. With that, let me move on to my substantive material on what's best for the society and the state. Art has always been the business of the state. The plot, however, thickens when their side taxes popular entertainment to fund high art, because it sends a message to society, ladies and gentlemen, a message that is problematic on two levels. First, when the state taxes popular entertainment, it indirectly taxes those who watch it. Okay, it might not be prices, even though we think it is, but even then, it's supply and the quality of popular art. Now, this is a problem, because the state takes away from the masses, the majority of people who benefit from popular entertainment, and gives to high art, the audiences of whom are smaller in number, like they told you in their case setup. So this easily comes off as the state discriminating against the majority to benefit the few. And the basis of this discrimination lies again in the assumption that popular entertainment is more valuable to society than high art. We've just proved this when my first speaker told you that popular entertainment has a higher ability to reach the masses. So positive messages that are sent through popular entertainment reach the masses better than high art. We don't think your policy is justified. So by taxing popular entertainment, you discriminate against the low-income worker who would rather spend his money on CDs than a classical musical concert. On the second level, you discriminate against the single mother who maybe she just wants to sit down and watch Oprah Winfrey. Their side is ignoring the social value of having forms of entertainment in society. We don't think their idea about monopolies justifies trying to take this away from people who are on the borderline of affording it. And we recognize that art is important, but we don't think we should be supporting it by discriminating against other forms of art or other forms of expression. This is an idea I brought up in my POI that they ignored eventually. So we tell you that when you brand high art, when you brand popular entertainment as a negative social ill, then you place it in the same bracket as drugs or smoking or alcohol. We don't think that's fair to society. We don't think that really benefits high art either. Art under their side is art that fails because it's not equal and it doesn't respect the free market.
6 minutes and 26 seconds.
Thank you very much. Well, we've heard two speeches from each team now. The teams are debating the motion, this House believes that governments should impose a tax on popular forms of entertainment and use the revenue to fund high art. Now we move back over to the proposition team from Raffles Girls School. Please welcome their third speaker, Emily Tao.
that they want to provide art grants based on need. And then they tell us that they agree with us that the high arts is dying. And then they also tell us that, they want to break boundaries between high art and supposedly low art. We think this very nicely summarizes our case. What I'm going to show you more in my speech is in a comparative, as it is more justified to tax popular entertainment companies that high art does indeed need this funding, and popular entertainment companies can afford this. More than that, I'm going to tell you why only our policy can ensure the range of art and the benefit to society that both of us want in today's debate. Very simply, two points of contention in today's debate. Firstly, are we justified in taxing popular entertainment? And secondly, which side better benefits society? So firstly, are we justified in taxing popular entertainment? The second speaker came on to tell us that, we're making them switch off their Netflix and force them to watch Othello. Well, that's extremely misrepresentative of what our case really wants to do. But more than that, we're not going to accept what they're going to tell us. Let me tell you why they're even watching Netflix in the first place. They aren't really watching Netflix because they really want to. They aren't making this choice because it's
Point of
real.
information,
This
madam.
choice is actually illusory because Netflix is the only thing that they can watch. Because Netflix has monopolized
Point
the
of
market.
information,
Because
madam.
Netflix has made abuse as an incumbent advantage and make sure and ensure that this is the only thing that consumers can even choose to consume. We think that plays like Othello, other forms of high art are overwhelmed by these abuses of anti-competitive behavior that popular entertainment companies commit. We think this is why they are unable to even choose to watch Othello in the first place. What our side wants to give them
On
is
that
a
point,
choice to watch and consume whatever art they want. We think this is what we are ensuring.
Madam.
Yes.
How is it possible for your side to attach an economic value to expression and then prioritize those who produce high art over those who produce popular entertainment? Justify this now.
Your policy admits to us that you are going to provide grants based on need. This means that it is okay to prioritize economically when we think that one side is in need. I'm going to prove to you, and I think my two speakers have already proved to you that high art is one in need. And since this is status quo, why shouldn't we use our policy? We don't really see what you're trying to get at. But let me move on. We think that people aren't actually really exercising their choice here, because their choice to consume popular art is becoming more and more illusory, because they're deprived of a choice by these monopolies, but their price undercutting, by making it the only thing they see, but their immense advertising. Their choices become controlled by these conglomerates. And this is why our policy actually returns people this choice. But more than that, they try telling us that they want to break down the binaries of high art and low art, and our policy actually widens this binary. We tell you that we are funding the high art to knock down its barriers in the public, to take it down, misconstruct it,
Point of information, madam.
rich man's hobby, and share it with the public. How does subsidizing the public
Point of
actually mean that by
information.
increasing the binaries between high art and low art? And this is why our side actually truly breaks down these binaries. This is why our side breaks down this classist perception. We believe that anyone can appreciate high art, not just the rich. High art is like any other art. It's a process of discovery when you are peeled and you learn more about the craft. We think this classist structure is harmful and our policy breaks it. But afterwards, they try telling us that, both forms of art are actually important, but when you discriminate, make high art seem more elitist. No, we think that the fact that you think that high art is elitist actually shows the amount of socialization that we went through to think that high art is only the rich man's hobby. We think that actually by subsidizing high art, we expose to society that high art isn't as well off as you think it is. So many art galleries, so many drama theatres are closing down in places like London and in Australia. We think most artists only earn 1/3 of their income from producing art because they're forced to resort to other means to even survive. High art companies aren't rich at all. High art companies aren't elitist. Anyone can appreciate a Shakespearean play as well as can appreciate a K-pop song or hip-hop dance piece. We think that this is what our side truly believes in, and they've never contested that because in fact they agree with us that all art is equal. But afterwards they try telling us that high art is dying, but other arts can die too. Taking their point at its highest, I'm going to tell you why our side is still better. Because we've identified the root problem of there being a monopoly, there being anti-competitive behavior, which is what they've never actually rebutted. We think this is why status quo requires action against specifically popular entertainment companies to ensure that they stop committing such anti-competitive behavior. Their policy is going to be much more inefficient than ours because they don't tell society what is going on. Society is unaware of which forms of art or entertainment are actually abusing that common advantage and abusing their monopolies. We think our policy is very clear and specific in sending this message to the public, and that is why our policy is going to be better even
Point of
than their
information.
argument at its highest. No, thank you.
disadvantaged people who watch high arts? No, we don't. We think popular entertainment companies earn a lot of money. Time Warner Cables earns $22 billion a year. We think by taxing them, we aren't actually going to sacrifice on that quality of art and production. We think they can still produce an equal amount of art. In fact, they can simply use less money on advertising, which are now using so heavily, and is what's precisely creating this monopoly, and that which is what we are trying to break in today's debate. But I think it's even more justified that popular entertainment has already benefited so much under the government, and the government is the one that creates and ensures this environment of a free market. But afterwards, they try telling us that we assume that high art is going to be appealing once we break down this, once we actually fund them. Yes, we think it is going to be more appealing. High art is as appealing as popular entertainment. The only reason stopping people is a cost-benefit analysis. When high art is so expensive, not everyone can afford it to pay a few $100s for a few hours of a concert. Our policy recalibrated so they can actually make this choice. And the right to choice is what we are protecting. Precisely because of all these reasons, because we are the side that protects fairness and vibrancy and the art scene as a whole, please walk beside government.
6 minutes and 12 seconds.
Thank you very much, Emily Tao, for continuing the case for Raffles Girls' School as their third speaker. We now move back over to the opposition team from the United World College of Southeast Asia. It's time to welcome their third speaker, Zachary Intretta.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a problem because both sides of the approach to this was trying to solve this motion in a different way. Proposition wants to solve the problem of monopolies, while opposition wants to show there's an equitable and fair way of reaching all types of art. So I would like to show you today how opposition actually solves both of them, while proposition does neither. So first of all, I would like to look at monopolies. Second of all, I would like to look at what is the balance today in between high art and popular culture. And third, I would like to look at why popular culture is actually popular. So first of all, monopolies. Now, the first thing I'd like to say on this is that antitrust laws exist. There are laws in place in the international market and in countries including Singapore and the US, the examples given today, that restrict anti-competitive behavior. But let's, for instance, put those aside and go into the make-believe world of the proposition where these laws don't exist. Because the proposition is living in a world where these laws don't exist and haven't come into play if what they're saying happens. Now, Pop admitted that there is already a range of artists, and there's no monopoly in artists in terms of pop culture. Now, they say that the monopoly comes in forms of companies like Ticketmaster. Well, when you choose to see a play, do you choose to see a play because Ticketmaster is the one doing it, or because you like the artist, because you want to see that play? Ticketmaster is the one beholden to these companies, because people want to go see it, not because it's a Ticketmaster production. No, they want to go see it because they like that play. Ticketmaster is the one beholden to Andrews. The other one that they brought up as a company that apparently is a monopoly is Netflix. Now, Netflix only exists because their policy hasn't been put in place. Netflix claimed with absolutely zero of the market share, and because there wasn't a tax that taxed everyone in this entire popular culture, they were able to build up, they were able to cross a low barrier of entry and actually take a market share, which is not a monopoly. Netflix isn't paid, you have to pay for Netflix, and it doesn't actually have the television. Netflix doesn't have all of the content. It has a small amount of content, and it doesn't have a television show. If we're talking about TV, how can a company that doesn't have a TV channel have a monopoly over TV? We see that this is completely erroneous. But let's look at who solves this. This is where we believe we completely win this point, because they dropped our entire thing about barrier of entry. Now, Proposition today has told you that they're going to just tax popular entertainment, and they want to tax the companies. They've rejected the idea that if you tax the companies, in order to ensure that they maintain their profit, which apparently is what they want to do, they're going to raise prices on the consumers. Now, but that simply isn't true, because they want to maintain the profit. These are popular entertainment countries. This is what they want. So when they say only one-third of the income comes, only one-third of income comes from artists, comes from art for artists, we say that this is why we cannot allow this tax to go through, because then even less of the income will come, even less artists will lose, even culture will stagnate. So let's look at the second point. What is the balance there? So here I've got one main question for you. Can you access high art? Now, Proposition wants to believe that there's very limited ways you can do it. You can only access high art by going to a museum, going to the Esplanade. We say that while, first of all, these methods are available to you, there are other methods that proposition fails to take into account. Something like Shakespeare in the Park, just in Singapore, is something that I personally have gone to. Or other things. This is
Exactly, sir.
in one second. This is a phone. This allows me to access all high art in a way that has never been possible ever in the history of mankind. It used to be you have to travel to Beijing to see the Beijing Opera and travel to Paris to see the Mona Lisa. Now it takes 10 seconds on the phone to do what would have taken weeks in the time when this art was created. We see that high art is infinitely more accessible now. And no thank you, it is up to you, the people who are choosing why you are not looking at high art, why you are the ones looking at popular culture. We believe that the people have already decided on our case. But even if we accept that high art is dying, let's look at the differences in today's politics. Now, proposition says high art is dying, we need to save it. Let's just fund all high art. We're ignoring that there's other art forms dying. We're ignoring that some high art is thriving. We look at the problem in a better way. In 1 second, we look at the problem and say we're going to look at the way we're going to look at art that is dying, maybe high art or low art. We're going to fund it anyway because art is a conduit of culture and we want to fund it. We look at thriving high art and don't fund that. But before I continue.
So, the reason why you can go to Shakespeare in the Park is because Singapore provides art grants for schools.
Yes. First of all, let me say that my school is not a Singaporean school and did not receive that grant. Second of all, it is this type of grants that we have on our side. We give grants to art that is dying that people are not going to see. If what you're saying is correct and not enough people are seeing in high art, then these Shakespeare in the Park will get a grant to be able to lower their prices. The problem is solved on both of our sides, except you bring up a second problem of unfairly taxing new creators. But let me move to the final point today about why is popular culture popular? Why is popular entertainment popular? And the answer is here. Because every single person here is a consumer of popular entertainment. Every single person here votes on what they want to see. When they choose to listen to, let's say, All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor, instead of going and watching a film. Every single one of you is the reason that we are having the debate today. Because it is because each of you are voting with your money, voting when you watch something. This is why there is this dichotomy. We see that there is exposure, as I've already proven you today. But the reason that some things, that high art has the less market share of the whole art economy, so to speak, is because you chose that. And we see there's no problem with the people choosing what they want to watch. That's what governments are meant to do. And while we have the safety net to ensure there's exposure of everything, we believe that the final decision of what you watch should be you. And the masses that are watching popular entertainment should not be unfairly taxed because they've made a choice that the government doesn't want. We've already shown you how popular entertainment can have more goods. Let's look at what popular entertainment is. Now, we looked at the top 100 songs in 2014. Now, 42 of these songs had positive messages. From empowering women in songs like Brave and All About That Bass, to looking at the futility of being cool in Cool Kids, to just songs about living life to its fullest and happy, let it go, shake it off. These are messages that need to get out to society. On the comparative, we've got Romeo and Juliet. I don't believe we did it justice earlier when we said what it is. It's a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old who hook up at a masked party, elope in one day without telling their parents, and then commit suicides because of miscommunication. This is not what society needs to hear. For those reasons, we urge you to agree with the opposition. Thank you.
6 minutes and 5 seconds.
In a couple of minutes, we will be moving to the team's 3-minute concluding reply speeches. However, before we move to the reply speeches, there'll now be a 2-minute break for the teams to confer, and the teams to reserve members may also confer. So if the reserves can come on stage. We will start timing the 2-minute break now. Good. The reserves, please return to the audience. So, it's now time for the team's 3-minute conclude reply speeches. No points of information are allowed during the reply speeches. After 2 minutes, the timekeeper will signal once to let the speaker know they have a minute left, and after 3 minutes, the timekeeper will signal twice. The order is reversed for the reply speeches, with opposition going first and proposition going second. So, the teams are debating the motion, this House believes that governments should impose a tax on popular forms of entertainment and use the revenue to fund high art. The opposition team is the United World College of Southeast Asia. Please welcome their reply speaker, Anish Welding.
It was clear when their third speaker told us that I'm not really choosing to watch HBO when I turn on the TV, that the proposition doesn't truly understand the entire and social landscape of entertainment and art, and that their side is severely trying to inflate the harms of monopolies. We think it's very patronizing to me and all TV watchers in this room to say that you don't really choose to watch HBO, you don't choose to watch Netflix. If that were true, I'd like to congratulate Justin Bieber's manager on fooling millions of believers in getting them to support his Justin Bieber. I mean, it's not like there's hundreds of artists to choose from, it's not like there's hundreds of shows. Obviously, it's one big monopoly like Google sitting there and controlling us all like puppet masters. Okay, if that were true, then maybe the harms that proposition is trying to bring about are kind of reasonable. But they live in a world where Netflix is the only producer. When their third speaker told us that Netflix monopolizes the TV market, we think that's quite fallacious. They don't really understand the world in which we live in today. Now, this debate is about two things. Firstly, high art and popular entertainment, and secondly, high art and low art. So let me begin with high art and popular entertainment. I told you in my second speech that popular entertainment has different functions from art or even high art. They completely ignored this in their third speech, but let me refresh this. Firstly, it sparks discussion and discourse on issues, and because of its wide reach. And secondly, it has the social value of leisure, two things which they never really engaged us on. And because they were so dismissive of these two key functions and their importance to society, that's why this entire point is hung on the idea if the consumers are affected or not. So we tell you the consumers are affected. And in my speech, I told you they're affected in two ways. Firstly, they'll be harmed through prices. When cost-push inflation happens, when these big money-wanting companies actually want to keep their money, so they raise prices to maintain their margins. Secondly, even if that's not true, their supply will decrease if these companies decide to stomach it, and they'll still have less accessibility. So we clearly took this debate because we proved that they harm the consumer. We proved that they actually prevent this positive social good, popular entertainment from reaching the consumer. They lower the ability of the consumer to make this choice. So on high art and popular entertainment, opposition took this debate. But how did we take it on low art? Because we told you we wanted to break binaries, and we do this by just not acting based on labels. Now how did they want to do? Well, they wanted to break these binaries by acting on the binaries and by trying to level the playing field by giving high art preferential treatment. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, a low art is equally inaccessible in many places in this world as high art. And we don't think high art somewhat has greater needs than low art anyways. And even if it did, then under our policy we'd fund it too, right? And secondly, we tell you how resentment breeds. Is when Malik traditional theatre production fails to gain funding because their side gives additional funding to Shakespeare. This is how resentment breeds. Their side doesn't help art, society, or culture.
and 12 seconds.
We thank Anish Welded for doing the reply speech for the opposition team from the United World College of Southeast Asia. And now, to conclude the case for Raffles Girls' School in proposition and the grand final of this year's Division 1 as a whole, please welcome Leon Li Jing.
The opposition we see today is an opposition we cannot trust. An opposition who contradicted themselves, whose policy was pretty much exactly the same as ours, and who misrepresented our case completely. Firstly, opposition today has been backing us throughout all three speakers. They said in the first speaker, we will give funding based on need. Think about it. Popular forms of entertainment, if they're popular, they don't need help. So who benefits from opposition's policy? High artists, obviously. Wait a minute. Isn't that essentially the same as our policy? But even so, our policy is still better. Why is this so? Because they are getting money from society as a whole, while we are getting money from popular entertainment companies. We ensure that the companies that are responsible for the exclusiveness of high art stop monopolizing the artistic industry, as opposed to opposition, where the companies take no blame whatsoever and are free to continue monopolizing the industry, sucking more of taxpayers' money into helping high art get its equal footing. Our policy is infinitely more effective. And actually, on this note, you know that side opposition never actually rebutted my analysis on how high artists are unable to get any presence whatsoever in the artistic industry. This the analysis I provided to you in my first speech. I'll talk more about this later. But then they contradicted themselves. Because firstly, they said that they shouldn't discriminate against art. But then later, they said that popular forms of entertainment were they said that popular forms of entertainment had a lot of positive messages, and they were willing to discriminate, against high art in order to promote these popular messages. They ridiculed Romeo and Juliet, saying, oh, we're forcing a household to stay at home and watch Othello. Do you think that this is the kind of opposition that we can trust to protect our high art? We don't think so. But then they misrepresented our case. Side opposition continuously misrepresented our case. The first speaker came up and told us that proposition is categorizing art into high and low art, and the second speaker said the same. But if you paid attention to my speech, you know that I explicitly told you that all art is important. In fact, in the second speaker, they used the exact same category they accused us of doing. And they also said that high art is dying. We have never said this. We said that high art is being restricted to a specific part of society. And on this note, let me move on to the main clash for today. Who upholds equality in art? We think that proposition does, because we understand that high art has been discriminated against because of the monopoly that popular entertainment industries have. Remember my analysis in my first speech? It was never actually rebutted by opposition. But secondly, they accuse us of discriminating against popular entertainment companies. But we don't do that. Why? Because this is the concept of equity. It's the idea that popular entertainment companies have already taken from high art, and now it's time to give back. The kid they brought up who gets preferential treatment in class is the kid that can't afford tuition because his family just can't afford it. And lastly, my third speaker brought up the point that we help break binaries between high art and low art. The very binary that opposition accused us of subscribing to and later on adopted. We never had a response from that. And because we protect the people, we protect artists, we protect the art industry as a whole, go with proposition.
3 minutes and 22 seconds.
Thank you very much, and that brings the main debate of the grand final to a close. And we will shortly be having another floor debate, giving members of the audience a chance to have their say on this topic. But before we do that, both of these teams have put on an excellent debate. Let's let them cross the floor and then return to the audience. The finalists, Raffles Girls' School of the United World College of Southeast